we? Right, so we're going to very unusually come to lying. Yes, I know. But don't worry, we won't be here for that long. And I will get you moving again. So I know that Sue likes to stretch out. So Sue, this is for you. As you come to lying, just circle your ankles a couple of times in one direction, and then circle your ankles a couple of times in the other direction. And then extend your right heel and raise your right arm up, laying the back of your right hand behind you. Your elbow can still be bent. This is a very early stretch in the practice. And breathing out, turn your head to the left. And stay here for an in and an out breath. Your right heel is extended and your hand is extended, or your arms extended upwards. When you're ready, bring your head back to the centre. And breathing out, lower your right arm and relax your right heel. And now extend your left heel. And breathing in with a bent elbow, raise your left arm up above you, stretching your hand, stretching your left heel. When you're ready, as you breathe out, turn your head to the right. Just stay here for an in and an out breath. Bringing your head back to the centre. And on your next out breath, lower your left arm and relax your left heel. Just extend both heels and point both toes away from you. Extending both heels and pointing the toes away from you. And then just stretch your toes out so that you're opening the space where your toes join your feet, and then just relax your toes. And then bend your knees so that both feet are on the floor and both knees are up to the ceiling. Your hands can be resting on your abdomen, or your hands can stay palms down alongside you. And your feet are either hip width apart, or you might like to have them slightly wider as you drop both knees to the right and your left hip lifts off the ground. Breathing in, bring your knees back to the centre, and breathing out, let both hips, let the right hip lift as both knees travel over to the left. And then just very gently, in your own time, windscreen wipe your knees from side to side. So, correlating with the easing of lockdown, this side-to-side movement moves the hips, and the hips represent in the body, if you look at the parts of the body that kind of translate to our emotional being, the hips look at where we're going forward. Shoulders represent responsibility in life, and the knees represent all little irritations and upsets and lack of support. But the hips are where we're going forward, which is one theory why psychologically, not physically, but psychologically, why a lot of older people can get very stiff in the hips, because they lose their purpose or their focus. But there is a physical aspect that your muscles can contract slightly. So leaving and letting your knees drift from side to side. Bring your knees back to centre, just maybe bring them closer, the heels towards your bottom, and maybe the feet hip width apart. And just raise your elbows and clasp your hands under your head, supporting your head and back of the neck. And then just lift your head fractionally from the mat and bring your elbows towards each other. They won't touch, that's too strong. And then just relax. Your head's still off the ground. And then you can just
Roll both elbows, clasping your head towards the left. Your right shoulder will lift up. Bring your head and elbows back to centre as you then roll both elbows and lifting off your back to the right. It's just a gentle stretching of the back of the neck. It's stretching out the shoulder joint from behind. If that makes sense. You roll from side to side. Do ask me if any of this isn't making sense. And then just very, very gently release your head back to the ground. Open your elbows out to the side and just feel a stretch underneath your arms. Opening up the under the arms connects into part of our lymph system, so part of our immune system. And then keeping your right hand underneath your head and hugging your left knee into your chest. Breathing out, lift your head and your right elbow up. Your right elbow can slightly move towards your left knee and then just relax everything back down onto the earth. And then breathing out, you're engaging your abdomen and your core as you lift up your head. It's supported by your right hand, and then your right elbow slightly goes over to your left knee and then just releasing back down again. And then releasing your left knee and swapping over so that your left hand is holding underneath your head to support your head and neck. You're holding your right knee in your right hand and breathing out as you exhale, lift up your head and bring your left elbow towards your right knee and then release back down again. This is a very gentle and very safe core activation. Breathing out, lift your head, it's supported by your hand, and bring your left elbow slightly towards your right knee and then just breathing out, release and relax back down again. Release your head onto the floor and then take your left hand out and hug both knees into the chest as you very gently rock from side to side. And then very gently circle both knees. So your knees go, you're holding them to the front, open them out to the side and then circle them back to meet close in. But how you circle your knees doesn't really matter. The fact of circling them is so helpful to the hips. And then just very gently reverse your circle going in the other direction. And then just very gently hug your knees into your chest. Still holding them, let your knees drift away to arm's length. And do this a couple of times, just going up and down your lower spine at the L4, L5 vertebra level. And then bring your feet to the floor. And we're going to be taking our time to roll to the side. And ultimately we're going to come up to standing, but please take your time. So come to perhaps kneeling. And then tuck your toes underneath. And come to gently roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And once we're up here, lift and roll your shoulders, setting them back down alongside you. Not forgetting the hands, just circle the wrists in one direction. And then circle the wrists in the other direction. Open your fingers and just curl them in, and open and curl them in. And once more. Bring your palms together and really focus on bringing the little fingers together, because that can often be the part that we miss out, and we can lose some of our meridian connections. Pressing the hands together also just tightens up under the arms if anyone's interested in preserving their underarm tone. So breathing in, circling the hands up, touch palms, and breathing out, bring your palms through the centre as you bend your knees, just touching either the floor or your shins, wherever you decide to be. Breathing in, flat back, half lift. Breathe out, soften your knees. Breathe in, flat back again. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, press your feet into the floor as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And then carry on to raise your arms up. You can either look ahead or up, depending where your neck is today. And then breathing out, lower your hands back down alongside you. And lift and roll your shoulders. Breathing in, raise the right hand. Turn the palm to face your ear, the inside of your palm facing your head, and just go over to the side. Your left hand can hold your thigh. Breathing in, come to the centre, and breathing out, lower your hand back down alongside you. And breathing in, raise your left hand. Breathing out, slide over, lateral stretch towards the right. Feel that your body is between two panes of glass, so that you're not twisting your hips so much. Breathing in, come to the centre. And breathing out, lower your hands back down, your left hand alongside you. Lift and roll your shoulders. Clasp your hands behind your back. Knuckles aim towards the floor. And lift your chest. You can bring your knuckles slightly away from you. In this pose, which is an option, if you decide to bend your knees and lift your arms behind you, which I think is quite difficult, you would obviously need to bring your head, bring it back to upright before you come forward. But that's quite hard, I think. And classically, even harder, you're supposed to keep your thumbs together, which for me means I'm hardly raising my arms at all, but then coming back. And then lifting and rolling your shoulders as we once more circle the arms up, touching the palms, bring back down through the centre, touching either the floor or your shins. Come to a half flat back, lengthening all the way along the spine. Breathe out, soften the knees and soften the elbows as you curl in. Breathing in, flat back again. Stay here as you breathe out. And then breathing in, roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Stretching your fingers up, looking either ahead or up. And breathing out, lower your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders. So focusing on that little finger kind of meridian, another excellent way to do this is to lift and roll your shoulders and just do reverse prayer. Now that is quite difficult. If that's too much for you, then just hold your wrists. But reverse prayer really does open up along the wrists on the little finger side. Your elbows are supposed to be back, that's harder to keep your hands together. And it just shows, I think, how quickly we can lose the muscle. You don't realise you're losing your flexibility, and that's a real eye-opener to losing flexibility for me. And just release your hands. And when people fall, when they get older, that's often where they can cause damage on the muscle, where they fall down. So although it's very painful, it's quite nice just to remind ourselves to open up there, because it's amazing how quickly I think you lose.
Yeah, you can't open jars.
You can't open things. So it's just, now if you want an exercise before we go on, which is less onerous, just, when I say roll your wrists together, so open your wrists and roll them together and roll the backs of the wrists. So open your palms, close thumbs together, second fingers together, then back to the palms. So you're just rolling, pushing the bones against each other. I don't know if that... and then just to really flip your mind, go the other way around.
And that's again a very gentle and soft way to open your wrists, but without being agony. It's just opening everything up. And then just, when you've finished, shake your hands out. And come to the top of your mats to do salute to the sun, but obviously a modified version. Inhale, out, exhale, hands together at the heart centre. Breathing in, circling your hands up. They can either just stretch up or they can touch, that's optional. Breathing out, bend your knees, roll down, hands either side of your feet. Step your right foot back, keep it high for a nanosecond to stretch it out, and then lower your right knee to the ground. Slide your left knee back. Come to tabletop, make any adjustments with your knees and hands that you need to, and breathing in, dipping your back, looking either up or along the mat, breathing out, round, chin to chest. Breathing in, dipping your back, and breathing out, rounding, chin to chest. Come to neutral and slide your right foot back, tuck your right toes underneath you. And turn to look over your left shoulder, and then come to turn, coming through the centre to look over your right shoulder. And then come back to the centre and lower your right knee. And then similarly extend your left leg, tucking your left toes under, look over your right shoulder, and then come to look over your left shoulder. And then come back to kneeling. So either carry on with a cat-cow, so I know you are not a fan of downward dog, or for those who want to come to a soft downward dog, come to tuck your toes, bending your knees and coming up to your first downward dog. Adjust your feet so that they might be wider apart, maybe closer to your hands as you walk the dog, bending one knee, stretching out one calf, and then bending the other knee. And downward dog is all a general toner, as well as being an inversion. And you can tuck your tummy in even here, and then breathing out, just bring both knees back down to the ground. Hands go to the left to give space for your right foot to come up. Hands either side of your right foot and just stretch into your right thigh. And then come back to your right knee being a 90-degree angle. Kneel up. Do feel that you can move your right foot to the right if you need that balance. And lift and roll your shoulders, opening your palms. Slightly look up, slightly lift your chin. The action of lifting your chin and raising your eyes becomes a mindfulness exercise as you disconnect the eyes from the stress centres of the brain. Bring your head upright and just place your hands on your waist, opening your chest. This is an option to warrior one, but kneeling, it's a crescent moon option. Then the next expression, as it's called, is to open your hands into cactus. That opens your shoulders, opens here. And then optionally, the third expression is to lift your hands up, looking either ahead or looking up, depending again where your neck is. And then breathing out, bring your hands to either side of your front right foot. And place your right hand on your right waist, opening out to the right. For those of you who are very flexible in your shoulders, you have options to lift your right hand. I find that quite tough on my shoulder, so I'm going to come back to holding my right waist with my right hand. And then just turn to look downwards, bring your right hand to either side, your hands either side of your right foot. Tuck your left toes underneath, lift up your left leg, and just slightly bring your left foot in so that you're in pyramid pose over your right leg. So you bring your right hip back slightly to even you out, and you're stretching out the back of your left leg.
So it's like a right foot forward. You can lift your heel, and then if that's possibly agony, then bend your left knee and step your left foot to your right foot. Hands on your shins, flat back. Breathe out, bend your knees. And breathing in, pressing your feet down as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing and stretching your arms up. Perhaps look at your thumbs if your neck will allow you to look upwards. And then breathing out, lower your hands. Inhale, exhale, hands together. Circling your arms up, just touching the palms or looking straight ahead, up or straight ahead, stretching your hands out. They can be touching or not. Breathing out, roll down. Hands either side of the front of your feet. And then step back with your left foot high. Stretch it out. Left knee to the ground. Right comes back. We're in tabletop. Cat cow. Knee, rounding your back, chin to chest, dipping your back. And do this a couple of times. It warms the spine. It's a very safe back movement as your spine is supported by kneeling, and also quite restful for the body because your heart is parallel to the ground. And then you might like to carry on doing cat, but for those who want to come to a dog, then begin to tuck your toes next time you round your back. Come to your dog, tummy in, perineum engages. The aim is not to get your heels to the ground, it's to stretch your back. And by stretching your back and bringing your bottom away from your hands, you're taking the weight off your front hands. Feel that you can adjust your feet by bringing your feet slightly closer and wider. Walk the dog a couple of times. Maybe slide from side to side, moving your hips. Bending both knees and just stretching both legs out. And then both knees go back down to the ground, and this time your hands go to the right to give space for your left foot to come up, and hands either side of the left foot. Stretch into the left knee, stretching out the left hip. And then come back with your knee in 90 degrees angle, maybe move it out to the left a little bit. As you kneel up, you can always walk your hands up your shin, opening your palms, looking either ahead or up, depending on your neck capacity. And then bring your head upright as you place your hands on your waist. First expression of crescent moon, the warrior one option. And then cactus arms. And then finally, if you feel comfortable to do this, stretching your arms up. And again, the invitation is to look straight ahead or look up. But to come out of this, bring your head upright. Bring your hands to either side of your left foot. And place your left hand on your left waist, turning to the left. And you've always got the option, of course, of raising your left arm. But again, I'm going to keep my hand on my waist. Come to look down, hands either side of your left foot. Tuck your right toes underneath, tummy in. And then lift up into your pyramid pose by bringing the back right foot slightly closer in. And your right hip comes forward, your left hip goes back. If you wanted an extra challenge, then you would keep your right hand where it is, bring your left hand to your waist, and then turn to open to the left, which is almost like reverse Pavrita movement. That's quite hard, otherwise keep your hand on your waist. Bring your right hand to the outside of your left foot and step your right foot to your left, hands on the shins, lengthening along the spine. Breathe out, soften your knees, and then breathing in when you're ready to roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing.
And then lifting and rolling your shoulders. And then just a very familiar side to side. And then come gently to start to slow your movement down. And come to the centre, lift and roll your shoulders. And then come down to the mat. Before we come to sit in front of us, I'm going to invite you to come to the right and stretch your right legs along the side. I don't know how best to explain that. Paula can see me, but and then perhaps come to lean on your right elbow, as if you're on a chaise longue. In the bolter, that's a bolter. Thinking of the pursuit of love. So you're lying out like a mermaid on a rock, if only. Bend your top, which should be your left leg, hold your left ankle, and just bring your left into like a dancer's pose, a lying dancer's pose. So you'll feel the stretch in your top of your left leg, the left muscle, and then just bring your leg back. Hands down to come to the other side. So stretching the leg out, this part here, that muscle, you've got a lot of lymph and white blood cells manufactured in the bone marrow. And so this boosts your immune system. And this modified dancer, when you stand up, is a similar one. Actually, much more elegant. Come to the other side. Do ask me if you're not following this. Come to just leaning on your left elbow, stretching both legs out. And then bend your right leg. Hold your right ankle and then just stretch behind you. So if you know dancer's pose, you're standing up and stretching the other arm up. But people tend to wobble on their balance in dancer's pose, so this is just quite an easy stretch. You can also come, if you want to, just to lie completely and stretch your leg. That does really become a dancer, almost like a supine dancer. That might be easier for you and you get a better stretch. And then just release. Come to bring yourself up and come to seated with your legs out in front of you. Just shift any flesh out from under your bottom. Bounce your legs and just rub your legs or pat them, distributing circulation. Again, boosting your immune system. I'm talking about immune system because this is like the first week out of lockdown, so I'm kind of putting all these boosters in. And then legs in a V. So classically, it's Janusasana. It's bending up your right knee. If your knee is dodgy, then don't worry about bending up your right knee. Your right sole of the foot would point to the inside of the left leg. Just keep both legs out. You can have a cushion underneath your right thigh. Just touch your hands to either side of you. Breathing in, circling your hands up. Turn your body slightly to the outstretched left leg. It becomes Janusasana, head to knee pose. For back issues, I tend to bend my elbows to come forward, but you can come straight forward. And just slide your hands down your shin. Your left heel is extended. So this becomes a forward bend, head to knee pose, Janusasana. You're opening your right hip on the inside. Well, actually, you're opening your right hip totally. And it's a slight rotation which realigns the spine because you're just turning slightly towards the left leg. It becomes calming for the nervous system as a forward bend. And in the classic sequencing of this pose, the invitation is to slide your hands up and start again. Coming forward again and seeing if you go a little bit further. So the little bit further can include holding the outside of your left foot with your right hand and your left hand behind you and turning to look behind you. So right hand, the outside of the left foot, left hand behind and turning to look behind you. So. But if that's too much, then just come back. And then sliding your hands up, hands either side. And just bend your left outstretched leg so as you come into a double V. Again, you can have a support underneath your bottom. And turn to face your right knee and then just walk forward. So this double V that we've got is one of the 5 perfect movements for hip health. But unfortunately, people who've got super stiff hips can't sometimes get into this double V. So that's right.
That is.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're possibly coming over your. Yeah, there's the side. Yeah. And then, having got there, I'm going to get you out. Walk up, straighten your legs out. So put your hands either side of you, straighten your legs out. And then this time, as you bounce your leg into a V, your left leg folds, right leg is out. Turn to face your right outstretched leg. Breathing in, raise your hands up. I like to hold my thumbs as I turn towards my outside right leg, and then just slide your elbows and hands down the right shin. One side is generally stiffer than the other. So for me, this side is worse. I am not quite so flexible on this side. You can always have support underneath your left thigh. The breath starts to slow as you encourage the breath almost to come into your back, part of your lungs. And then either stay here or come out and come into it again. Turning to the right, sliding your hands down, and this time, if you've got the space with your hands, your left hand would come to the outside of your right foot, and your right hand goes behind you. If that's too much, then just slide your hand, left hand up your right shin. And then just come to sitting upright, hands either side of you. Bend your legs into a double V. And turn towards your left leg, coming over your left knee, either staying up or coming down, resting on your elbows. Again, you're keeping to your perfect hip opener. And then gently walking your hands up. Of course, the final expression of that is to come onto your left hand. We didn't do this. Raise your right hand up. We have got to sometimes lifting up, but just you can look up at your right thumb. And then just lowering your right hand. And come to stretch your legs out in front of you. Once more, just bouncing your knees. And cross your right ankle over your left. Even though you're not actually doing much, your brain registers the crossover. And so it's a way of encouraging left-right brain coordination. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre how the body can work. Hands either side of you. So take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh, your right hand behind, and just breathe in as you lengthen your spine and breathe out as you twist to turn to the right. It's not how much you twist, it's just and your head is the last thing to turn. Right shoulder is low. It's just a rotation. Stay here for an in and an out breath. And coming back to the centre, uncross your right ankle from your left. Slide your hands forwards for a couple of breaths along your shins. At some point in a twist or a rotation, it's nice to do a forward bend or hugging your knees into your chest to compensate. Sometimes you can do it halfway between poses and other times you can do it at the end or at the end of the sequence. And then sliding your hands up. So now I'm getting muddled. I think it might be left over right. Yeah, left over right. Left ankle over right. Hands just touch, fingers touch the floor to lengthen your spine. So then it would be your right hand to your outer left thigh and your left hand behind you. Breathing in, lengthen your body, and breathing out, turn. Breathing in, lengthen your body. So we're having a Malco moment here with Paula. So right hand, left ankle, left leg crosses over the right. Right hand comes to the outside of your left thigh.
Yeah.
Right. Very good.
I was right all along. I just didn't think I was.
And then turn to look over your left shoulder. I'm glad it's not just me. Some teachers mirror, but I was very relieved to hear that the general consensus is you do not mirror online. They say do not mirror online because it can go.
Right.
But I'm not good at mirroring. I get very muddled up.
So Molly doing ballet online, they didn't mirror. They
had to. That's interesting. And then come back, uncross your legs and just slide forwards again. They say in a class, if you can't mirror, because you're virtually dyslexic on direction, which I am, you can have people in a circle. But anyway, I just, yeah. I was relieved that mirroring is not required online. And then very gently come up and just bring the soles of your feet together. If you want to add, Sue, any nuggets of wisdom or any focus or concentration today, please do. But if not, just massage your instep. I think Sue has said before under the solar plexus area of the big, just in from the big toe in the middle of the foot is quite nice just to...
Sorry, I was not listening then. I mean, I was listening, I just wasn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, if you circle around your ankles in a circular motion, the inside of your ankles, that's your lymphatic system, which is quite good too. Especially with all of us having our jabs and stuff at the moment, it's a good idea to rub around there.
Oh, that's excellent. I definitely think, even though I've got over it, my second one, that it's left a tracer. It's just slightly bobbled my system, just fractionally.
That was last week, wasn't it?
That was last week, yes. So yeah, that actually feels lovely, Sue. Really, really lovely.
It's quite relaxing, yes. I mean, you can do it on the outside of your ankles, but that's a bit difficult sitting in this position. But if you want to do it another time around your outside or the inside of your ankles, just in a soft motion with your thumbs round.
Oh, it's lovely, really lovely. In fact, I could buy a self-massager that worked itself and was good. I'd buy one.
Yeah.
But the ones with the best pressure, the ones that you roll yourself and then you're using your shoulder, and Phil gets bored within about 1 second flat. I've done that. Right, bye. There's no interest at all. Yeah. And then just sitting up, just straightening your back. So for me to do that, I'm holding just below my knees actually, to straighten up. And then come to lying back on the floor again. And hugging your knees into your chest. You can rest your bottom on a cushion
You can rest your bottom on your hands, or you can just hold under your thighs, clasping your hands, to raise your feet to the ceiling and just wave your feet from side to side in a seaweed motion. If you particularly have got, again, the flexibility and you like to hold your big toes, thumb on top, second and third finger underneath, open your legs into a V, you can rock from side to side in a sort of, I don't know what you call this, a lying goddess pose. Sort of
Baby.
Yes, one of Karen's favourite expressions. She likes the goddess pose. So just rocking from side to side. And it becomes an inversion. So inversion is very good for the hormonal balance of our bodies. And if you don't want to be holding on to your big toes, you can put your legs up a wall or you can rest them over a chair. And although our hormonal balance, you think, well, you don't need that, but we do, because even though we might not be so concerned about hormones at the moment, the body still needs everything. So this is one way of balancing it. I think post-menopause, or even the body takes on the production of estrogen to a much lesser extent elsewhere. But another conversation another time, obviously not massively, it is a reduced function, but anyway, this balances everything up. And then just very gently bending the knees, hugging the knees into the chest, and again just rocking gently from side to side. As you rock from side to side, you can let one knee drift to arm's length and hug the other one in, and then the other knee, as you go to the other side, drifts to arm's length and the other one hugs in. It's an option. Don't stress out if you get muddled up. It's just almost like rocking from side to side and hugging the knee and letting it go out. Alternate, sort of almost hugging knees in. Again, it's almost quite nice for the hips. And then just very gently supporting your legs underneath to bring your feet to the ground. And just rest your hands at your actual solar plexus level, just under the chest, elbows slightly out, but the elbows rest on the ground. And as you breathe in, just let your fingers and hands open out as far as you like. For me, it's almost like a cup size, opening up to like a cup. And then breathing out, bring the hands back down to the solar plexus level. Breathing in, just let the air drift through the fingers as you open up the heart center. And breathing out, just let the hands drift back to the solar plexus. And do this a few times in your own breath pattern. Breathing in, the elbows stay on the ground, your fingers just let the air trace through them. It's a sense of touch. And breathing out, just let the hands come down. You can close your eyes. This becomes a heart opener as you're opening at the heart level. The air through the fingers connects the elements of obviously touch or air and the sense of touch, which connects through to the heart directly. It also, so it's a heart opening exercise, it's a breathwork exercise because you coordinate your movement with your breath. You normally start breathing, make the movement, finish the movement, finish breathing, but that's a natural thing here. And then it becomes a meditation as you're just opening your hands out to the side. For people who are really, really ill, when you're well, you don't think this is very much, but actually you're moving the chest muscles on opening the heart. And people who are really ill find this quite restful, but it's actually quite a lot of movement. So your muscles are moving. It's, as I said, it's easy to underestimate.
the movement part of this. And then just rest your hands when they come back next onto your solar plexus. And then just raise your fingertips to your forehead. You can either start with both fingers meeting in the forehead and just draw your fingers, tracing them from the middle outwards to the temples, or you can take the fingers and just trace them from one side of the temple to the other. So you choose. You could start fingers together and then from the centre of the forehead just tracing out to the edge. Very soothing, connecting to the next chakra up. Although we jumped a chakra. So for the throat, you can just turn your head slightly from side to side. And we go to the third chakra where we're just stroking across the forehead. And to connect into the crown chakra, you can just literally hold your head in the hand so that your fingers touch at the very top of your head, where the fontanelles, if that's what they're called, are almost where the bones knit at the centre of the head. And it's very soothing just to cradle your head. In Reiki, this is one of the hand positions where you're just connecting to the head. And in Reiki, just where your fingers meet at the top of the head, there's a dent at the top of the head, slightly in front of the head and one behind the head, so 3 major points. And in Reiki, you'll spend about 5 minutes almost on each point, and it normally puts people to sleep. You're hardly moving your fingers at all, but there's just a very gentle cradling of the head. And you tend to forget about the head, but it's actually a really important part. You've got acupressure points. Any dent in the head represents an acupressure point. So it connects into part of our brain functioning. And then let's just very gently release the hands, hug the knees once more into the chest, rocking from side to side. And very gently roll to one side. We're going to come to a seated position, taking the time. I'm going to come to a comfortable cross-legged position, but if you prefer to sit with your legs straight out, then please do. Just resting your hands below your knees, either hands up or palms down. Just stretching your spine. Just place your hands either side of you on the mat. And sliding your left hand slightly out to the left, raise your right arm, a lateral stretch, bring it over your right arm to the left. Chin tucks in so that you're extending the back of your neck. You can pulse a little bit with your right hand. Tummy in to press your left hand down and bring your right hand back onto the mat. And then slide your right fingers out to the right, raising your left arm. Chin tucks down, just a lateral stretch on the left side. You can pulse your left elbow, your left hand. Layering your left hand, fingers either side, and then just keeping your fingers where they are, just lengthen along your back and just nod forward, just slightly come forward. You'll feel this on the outside of the hips, but don't come very, just a mere nod coming forward. Lengthening back of the neck, the chin comes to the chest, calming. And then breathing in, come back upright. Just rest your hands once more. Turn your head to the left as you breathe in. Turn your head to the right as you breathe out. In to the left as you breathe in and breathing out to the right. And just do this a couple of times in your own time. Breathing into the left, breathing out to the right. The gentle sway from side to side of the head is beginning to balance the left and the right and the left brain hemispheres. It's a neck exercise. It looks at the thyroid and the parathyroid. The thyroid becomes particularly relevant as we get older because it connects directly to the adrenals. And I think most women have an excess of stress out in life, and often this can show up through the thyroid in forms of autoimmune, but the two are connected. And then just bring your head to the centre. If you're going to have a thought for the day, have it now. And then just very gently bring your chin to the chest, hands to the heart. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you.